One, and welcome to our workshop. If you've been here before, we're so happy to have you back. We really appreciate the time that you're taking this morning to learn a little more about Guru. And I'm super excited about this one. This is going to be so good. Today, we're talking hidden gems in Guru, and I love a good surprise. So let's get started with meeting the team, of course. So I'm Jasmine. I am Austin, Texas based and used to be a Guru customer. That's right. I used to be in your shoes. And now I'm spending all my working hours empowering Guru customers through smooth implementations and the setup of Guru. And I'm joined by my colleague Steph today, who's based in Philly. She is also a former Guru customer. We're just collecting them. That's just how it works. So she implemented Guru for her support team at an e-commerce company, and she's been leaning into innovative ways to use Guru and help teams build custom knowledge agents to drive the ease of finding information wherever they work. Nice to meet you all. Today, as stated, we'll be discussing all things tips and tricks of Guru, and then holding a little space at the end during our Q&A where we'll answer all your burning questions and revisit the most popular tip for further discussion together. Now, if you've been here before, you know the drill. We have one housekeeping rule, and that's if you have questions, to please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom screen, not the chat. That way we can respond in an organized manner. That does not mean that the chat is off limits. For feedback, excitement, comments about what you're seeing today, we want to hear it. But just use the Q&A for your questions and the chat for the comments. Steph, let's talk those gems.
Thanks, Jazz. Hey, everyone. I'm really excited for this. We're going to have some fun today. This isn't going to be your typical sort of webinar or workshop. I'm going to keep my eye on the chat. So give me the oohs, give me the ahs. Tell me if you knew these things already. I think I have a couple of tricks up my sleeve. I'm hoping I'm going to take you on a journey through these tips and tricks. And I'm hoping that a majority of the items are things that you've never known before. I'm going to start more simple. So if you know the first few, hang tight because we're going to get more advanced and talk about more advanced ways to use parts of Guru that either sort of fly under the radar, but can bring a ton of value to you and your team, or maybe like innovative ways to use a feature that you're already using that you hadn't thought of before. So like I said, hang tight. If you feel like the first few are ones that you know, we're going to get more complicated as we go and get more hacky. Without further ado, our first one is something that we released in February of 2024. So it's almost been a year since this has been available, but I do find as I work with customers and the customer solutions team here at Guru works with customers, this is something that might have been released and you haven't seen it yet or realized that it's there for you as a tool. So this feature is collapsible sections and callouts. So we're giving authors a few new ways to make knowledge more engaging and easier to navigate. So readers can consume knowledge more easily by collapsing or expanding sections as they're working through a longer form SOP or document within a Guru card, and know what information is most important using call-out boxes. So you'll find this as an editor in the toolbar of the Guru editor when you're editing an existing or creating a new card. One pro tip is you can use the collapsible sections for decision trees, call scripts, and FAQ cards. Let's say you have a lot of FAQs, you could just nest those in a collapsible section so that it can be unfurled when the reader wants to. And then for callouts, these are really great for highlighting important information. You choose the color of the box, you can put emojis, and you can actually use like our headers in the callout box itself to make it larger text, medium, a smaller header, or bold, italic, and all of the tips. I mean, all of the ways that you can edit our content within the editor, that applies within the callout box itself. So it makes it more visually appealing, more readable, especially for employees in commercial companies. So here's a quick example. This is an example of both a call out and collapsible sections from one of our larger e-commerce marketplace customers, just to get you thinking about it. Let me know if you already knew about this one or if there's anyone who's learning about this for the first time. Again, this is one that I feel like is under leveraged as a tool in our editor. So let me know in the chat. Our next one is a bit of automation for your author responsibilities. So we know that the process of verifying cards can be highly manual. We've added a way where you can automate a way to keep your knowledge fresh and your verification scores up. So auto archive settings can be adjusted by admins so that you can customize this feature to your company's needs. So I'm going to show you how to set this up within Guru. Is anyone using auto archive yet? Let us know in the chat. So as an author, I can head to Card Manager and then Auto Archive. And here I can create archive automations as long as an admin has enabled this for your team. If it's not enabled for your team, you can go to the settings, underneath Manage, Auto Archive, and just make sure this is enabled. So when you head to Card Manager as an author or a collection owner, you can set up these rule sets to automatically archive content on a specific cadence. So this will just run in the background and it will really help your author stay on top of stale content, right? And just archive it to get it removed from the search experience for your users. Looks like a couple folks are chiming in. Some aren't using it, some are using it. So Helen was saying, we're using Auto Archive, a workspace-wide one, plus our teams are making their own specific ones as well. We love it. Yeah, so what you can do is have it be, have a rule set that's a bit more conservative. David, I understand your concern about, feeling it's more important to make sure that you're accessing content, even if it's legacy. Totally. You can create an automation that is a bit more conservative. So let's say you want to make it for all collections. If the content's been unverified for a year and it has had less than 15 views in that time frame, that's pretty conservative. So you can set that for your organization, set it and forget it, and the content will archive. The main thing to know about auto archive is archived content can always be brought back. So some folks are scared to set this up because they don't want to lose content permanently. You can always bring back your archived content in your card manager. So I'll show you that in a second as well. But I do recommend setting up a more conservative rule set for your organization. And then as Helen was mentioning, creating specific collection rule sets for auto archive. Now, what this really does is just empowers your authors to review the content that is set to auto archive, and they can decide if they want to move forward with that or if they want to keep the content. And that is going to happen within their tasks. So as an author under tasks, you'll see auto archive. And this will populate every week based on the rule set. So any cards that qualify based on the criteria that you've set will appear here, and authors can decide whether they want to dismiss it and not archive it, or maybe they can go in and verify the card so that it doesn't even apply to that rule set anymore. This is just a more dynamic way for your team to have your content stay fresh. So I hope that's helpful to see. I see your feedback, Brittany, about your cards very rarely being unverified for long enough to be archived. That's a really good win. And your feedback about it would be great if we could auto archive cards with 0 views after a certain time frame instead. We'll definitely take that to the product team. I think that's a great idea. Great. The next one is also on the theme of automating author responsibilities. Scheduling announcements is something that I think folks forget about. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. I'm going to give you a quick demo of that. The idea here is that you can set it and forget it, right? So this is an oldie but a goodie. We actually released this a couple years ago in full transparency. But think about those times where you're preparing to go on leave and you want your team to be reminded of your out of office plan. Or maybe it's a quieter time of year and you want to get ahead on some of your projects and schedule comms as you work through your to-do list, I think this is a really great reason to use schedule send for announcements. So let's pick a card here. So any card can be sent as an announcement. I'm sure you all know this. If you don't know about announcements, it's a really great feature of ours, and I encourage you to learn more in our help center. So if you click send announcement, you can give a note, you can choose what groups or individuals you want to send this to, and then if you click this toggle, you can choose either preset timeframes or choose a custom time with the calendar view. So again, you can get ahead on some of those critical comms. And you're able to see your scheduled announcements under tasks and scheduled. So if you need to edit it or delete it before you send it, you're able to do that here. So hopefully that's helpful to see. Okay, so moving on, number 3, you can add Guru's Help Center to your team search experience. This is a really new one, so I wanted to make sure that we called this out. I think it can be really helpful for either your admins or your authors or your knowledge council to help learn Guru's functionality, or maybe empower your end users to access Help Center articles about our functionality, especially if you're just rolling out Guru to your team. It can really complement some of your content that you've authored about your own company. To do this, you just connect Guru's Help Center as a source. If you're new to sources, no worries. We have a whole workshop on knowledge agents, which allows you to connect sources that Guru can search across. So we're not going to go into too much detail on sources during this workshop. I'm just calling out that you can add Guru's Help Center as a source in Guru, one of many, as you can see here. So you'll notice in this list, Guru's Help Center. You'll go through the steps of configuring, which is just a couple of windows, couple clicks. You choose which group you want to be able to access it. Again, you can lock it down to just your Knowledge Council or your author groups or your SMEs, and then connect that. And so what that will look like is when your team goes to search for something, and maybe it's about Guru functionality, they're able to see Guru Help Center articles right here in the search experience and also filter amongst those sources as well. Just a reminder, if you have any questions, definitely head to the Q&A because I'm moving through these pretty quickly. And if your mind is not blown yet, we're getting there. Moving on to some more advanced things here. And Jazz, feel free to stop me if there's questions that might make sense to answer live. The next one is you have the ability to summarize your content with ease using our AI assist. So I'm going to show you an example of how one of our fintech customers summarizes long and complex processes for the customer care team using a custom prompt in their assist library. So I hope you're following along because this one is it's a really hacky way to use Guru that I personally love, that I learned from working with one of our customers. So let's say we have this long process about how to reset a password. I've created a tool for my authors in the assist menu where I'm going to be able to summarize this long process with just the click of a button. You'll notice here what I call our 5-star summarizer. Just a fun name to keep it fun for the team. But what this is doing is AI is taking all of the content that I've authored in this card and creating a quick summary. And I've actually asked the AI to do this in Markdown. So I'm going to copy the code that's been created. I'm going to come to our Markdown option in the editor, paste that in, preview it, And there you go. I have this beautiful overview of this really, really long process that my team can see at a glance when they land on this card. So I'm going to walk you through how we did this and just give you some inspiration on the many ways that you can use AI Assist. So we've asked Assist to create this content in Markdown, and we've asked it to summarize the content of the card. In order to set that up, under Manage, you have Workspace Preferences. And if you scroll down to Assist for Authors, you want to make sure this is toggled on so that you can customize the prompts. So I'm going to click Manage Prompts. And before I show you the 5-star summarizer, I just want to show you all of the options here. So we have the ability to create custom prompts, which I'm going to show you a couple of those examples in a second. But we also have a default list of actions. So just a quick call out. You can customize as an admin which ones you want your authors to be able to access. So you can toggle these on and off. If you don't want someone to be able to do any summarizing except for the one that you've created, you can toggle that off here. You can also choose what languages you want available. And if there's a language not here, you can also create your own custom prompt with that language. We can translate into most languages using our AI. So that's just a quick shout out for the menu. You can customize these actions that are available for your authors. What we've done here is we've created this 5-star summarizer by giving a prompt to the AI. So you'll notice this is a pretty robust prompt. This is an example that I got from my customer who got really creative with this, and I was super inspired. So they're asking the AI to summarize, and that the output should be in markdown format with a certain background color with the hex code, a certain border size in a certain color. They've gotten really prescriptive about like the style because they care a lot about the consistency across their content. And we're asking the AI to include a phrase overview of the process at the top. What size font should it be? Should it be bolded? The sky's the limit. We're also asking AI not to use certain words. Don't use marketing cliches. Don't use a passive voice. So again, you can create these custom assist actions, make it available to whatever groups you'd like who have author access within Guru. You can test it before it even goes live. And I hope this gave you some inspiration on how you can just use Assist in creative ways to make your content more readable for your end users and have that consistency across content so that they know what to expect. I know that was a lot. When we have Q&A, we can also cover, I can revisit any of these as we're getting more hacky and complex as we go. Okay, next up, we can apply templates to existing content. So let's say, in the example that I just showed you, we took a long form document and we summarized it using Assist. Let's say you've created new templates because you just did, a lot of my customers go through many iterations of their content, and you might create a new template and want to retrofit that to your existing content, which is a really large undertaking. I don't know if anyone resonates with this, but it's a lot of work to go in and look at your existing content and put it into a new format for consistency. So let's get hacky and use AI Assist to do that. So I am going to pretend I'm an author. When you go to create a card, right, you might have created a template for your authors to use for new feature breakdowns in this example, or maybe you want to apply this template that you've created to previous feature breakdowns for that consistency. So what you can do is you can ask Assist to take the template that you've created and turn it into Markdown. It'll make sense why I'm doing this in just a moment. But this is the first step. So you're taking a template, you're asking Assist to turn it into Markdown. It's a pretty long one, so let's just give it a minute here. Okay, so you'll notice that it spit out this template in a Markdown format. I'm going to copy that. Now I'm going to go back to my Assist settings, manage prompts. And you'll notice I've already created a new custom assist with this template in Markdown. So I'm giving the AI explicit instructions. I'm saying apply this template to the content. And if something doesn't fit in a section, include it at the bottom. And then I've gone ahead and pasted that Markdown. Prompts work best with Markdown, so that's why I've done that. Now let me show you an example of how an author would use this really cool hack now that I've done that work to set this up in Assist. So as someone on the product team, I might just have my like why statement of why a feature exists, or maybe I don't know, use talk to text to just like brain dump my ideas about this feature onto this card. No one's going to read this, and I need to put it in a format that the team is going to be able to read. So as an author, I can take my raw thoughts and ideas. I can take a document that's maybe a bit messy, a bit long, a bit complicated. Maybe it's even in the tone of a product person and it needs to be for my customer-facing folks. Now I can go into Assist and say, apply the feature breakdown template to this content. And I see you in the chat. I'm glad that you're loving this. This is, yeah, these are the sort of things that I actually learned just from getting creative and talking to customers. Customers are always, like you, are always doing really cool things. And look at that. So those paragraphs of text are now in this really readable, dissectable format. I can literally click add to card, review it, edit it, delete my original writing and publish it to the team. Okay. I really love that one. Okay, we're a little more than halfway through our list. Number 6, we're switching gears from sort of authoring and talking a bit more about when your team has questions, how are you making sure that they have the right answers? And if they didn't get the answer that they needed, how can we close the loop? You can edit an answer in Guru and close the loop with the asker automatically in our AI training center. So here's an example actually of a question that I asked here at Guru, and someone on my people team went in and adjusted the answer, and I received a notification that there was a new answer to my question. Without anyone needing to shoulder tap me, without me needing to shoulder tap anyone else, I had that experience of having the loop closed, which just makes for a really good employee experience and allows me to just keep working, right? And focus on the things that matter. So when your experts edit answers in the training center, this happens automatically. There's no additional need for you to do anything. So let me show you what that looks like. In the AI training center, if you're not familiar with this, we have a whole workshop where we talk through our AI and how to ask questions. So if this is a bit more advanced for you, just let us know in the Q&A. We can try to circle back. But for any of these questions, or especially ones that have no answers returned, I can come in as an author and edit the answer. When you do this, you're choosing the appropriate sources that can help answer the question. I don't think Tom Brady's life story card is going to give us an answer here, right? Let's remove that. Let's pull in the right policies that would answer this question. I don't know where the card went for this example, but Let's try this one. So I can pull in the appropriate sources. AI is going to generate a new answer. I can make sure that I'm happy with that answer. And when I save this, automatically the person who asked this question is going to know that there's a new answer to their question. They're going to get a notification wherever they have notifications enabled. If you're Slack users, I highly recommend that you encourage your users to enable notifications in Slack. Otherwise, they'll receive an email or a Teams notification. So yeah, I love this way to close the loop. Sticking with the AI Training Center, you can use our top sources view to inform your knowledge strategy. So there's a tab within the AI Training Center called the top sources. I think it often flies under the radar. You might even be in our AI Training Center every day and have never noticed that you can toggle to it. So I wanted to call this out here. I'm going to drop a link to this in the chat so that you can navigate to this if you have our AI enabled. And what this will do is it will give you a high level understanding of, out of all of the questions that your team has asked in the last 90 days, what were the top sources that were used to answer those questions? Now, those could be guru cards that are either verified or unverified. So what's really cool about this is you can see if any of your highly leveraged guru cards are currently sitting unverified and action those right away. Maybe you have a big queue of unverified cards. It's most important to hit this content first because folks are constantly using it. And you can see that from the data here. So in order of the number of questions that have been asked, what are the top sources? Again, it could be guru cards. It could be things like Google Drive or something from the Guru Help Center, something from your customer-facing help center, a ticket. Just depending on what sources you have connected to Guru, it will show you a combination of all of those and what are the top used. So I really love this. I think it can allow you to be a bit more strategic too in terms of keeping your content up to date. You can unfurl any of these and see all the questions that correlated, which is also super helpful. As you're looking at those questions, you can click into them and edit them or look at further details the way that I showed in the previous example. Okay. Moving on to our next one. If knowledge agents is new to you, have no fear. We have a lot of resources to help you start to think about this. If you've already built knowledge agents, I wanted to inspire you with some different ways to think about it. If you haven't built a knowledge agent and you're thinking, I don't understand why my team would want a knowledge agent, this will hopefully inspire you to think about it in a unique way. So you can create niche assistants for your team's most time-consuming tasks. And here's 3 examples. These are examples of ones that I've used personally as a Guru employee because we use Guru here at Guru, and we've been building some pretty cool knowledge agents to help our teams be more efficient. These are also examples that I've built with customers or been inspired by from customers that they showed me during some of our working sessions. So starting with the first one, you can create a customer insights tool. Now, to do this, you would connect things like your customer call recordings from Gong, or your tickets or cases from Salesforce Service Cloud or Zendesk. And maybe you have account data in your CRM like Salesforce. So you would connect those sources to Guru. And in order to do that, you need an admin's help. Then you would customize the prompt. We already did some custom prompting earlier in this session, right? We are asking the AI how we want it to act, what role we want it to play, what task we want it to accomplish, and what format we want the response to be in. So for a customer insights tool, we might say, what information should the agent include in a response, and be specific about the format. Then we can choose where we want the customer insights knowledge agent to live. Where do we want it to greet our users in their workflow? So you can set this knowledge agent to default over your CRM so that folks can ask questions about accounts. Maybe your C-suite wants to be able to ask questions about what's going on with a certain customer account. Embed this where they're working. Maybe it's a Slack channel. The next example is a customer response generator. If you want your team to be able to workshop responses in your brand tone and voice, create a customer response generator. You can connect your product documentation and your FAQs and maybe your customer-facing help center. Choose how you want the agent to respond. Particularly, it's helpful to include brand tone and voice guidelines, maybe things not to mention, maybe things to always mention in responses, how you want the response to be structured. Then you can have this knowledge agent default over your ticketing system, for example, so that agents have in Guru's Chrome extension the ability to quickly generate a response to help them workshop responses, especially when you go through some writer's block or maybe your macro library isn't up to date because your product's changing too rapidly. This is a really good way to get around that. And last but not least, the third example that I have here is an RFP assistant. Sales teams spend a lot of time on RFPs for selling deals, right? You can connect a sheet of FAQs from previously successful RFPs, and then you can prompt the AI with context, right? What are RFPs? Who is creating RFPs? What format should it be in? What's the structure that you want the response to be in? And what's the tone? Things like stick to the documentation and do not paraphrase are really important when we're talking about RFPs, security reviews, and questionnaires, things of that nature for your product. And then maybe you want this knowledge agent to live in your sales team page within Guru. If you're curious about custom pages, we have lots of resources on that as well. Hopefully these inspired you to think about knowledge agents in a new way. And if not, that's okay too. We can talk about it in Q&A. All right. And last but not least, I was going to do a top 10, and then I was like, I think these 9 are great. So let's just stick with 9. So this is our last one. So if you have any questions, pop those in Q&A and definitely let us know in the chat because we're going to be moving to that in just a second. I love this one. This is super hacky. You can get a knowledge agent to @mention someone in Slack. What does that mean? Let's talk through it. So if you have a process or a procedure where someone should contact a specific team member, and you mention that in a Guru card, a knowledge agent could @mention that person if the knowledge agent is answering someone's question in Slack. So I'm going to show you what this looks like, and then we can talk about how to build it. We are going to jump to Slack. So I am in an Ask People Ops channel here in Slack, and the People Ops team has curated a knowledge agent that will answer questions about benefits, employee perks, all things People Ops. And that knowledge agent is listening in on this channel. So if you've never seen this before, what this allows is for employees to ask questions and Guru to automatically respond with an answer, where then someone can give feedback without, an SME needing to spend any time. So we have our holiday party coming up. Maybe I ask, how can I RSVP for the holiday party? If you include in the Guru card someone's Slack user ID, Guru can actually @mention the person in the response to give them a heads up that someone's asking about something that pertains to them. We had a customer who wanted to build out this workflow, and we figured out the way to do it. And I think it's a really cool one. So the way to do that in your Guru card is really, really simple. You just have to find a user's UID in Slack, which I'll drop some instructions for that in the chat in just a second. But within the card, you're just going to put those details. So I have a card on our holiday party. I say, please RSVP by this date or contact Matt. You put the little carrots, the @ symbol, and the person's UID. The same can also work for a Slack channel. So if you want that Slack channel to be a link within the answer, that Guru gives within Slack, the same applies. Here's how to find someone's Slack user ID in case anyone's curious. Right. So that was our list of tips and tricks that will really help you up level your Guru usage and your knowledge management program in 2025. So just a quick recap. You can improve your content's readability with collapsible sections and banners, automate your author responsibilities with auto archive and schedule sending of announcements, add Guru's Help Center to your team's search experience, summarize your content with ease using our AI Assist, retrofit your content to new templates using AI Assist, edit answers and automatically close the loop with someone who asked the question, use your top sources view in the AI Training Center to inform your knowledge strategy in a really dynamic way, create niche AI assistants for time-consuming tasks for each team, and enable Guru to @mention a team member in Slack when answering questions in a channel. So we're going to launch a poll to understand if there's something that we should dig into further. Some of these were a bit more advanced.
They were. They went pretty quickly. So we did have some people in the chat that for sure will want to go over something again. So we'll pay attention to that.
Yeah.
While we're waiting on folks to vote in there, we got a question about the Slack user ID.
Yeah.
If you see Rachel's question, she wants to know if they could use the name instead of the ID to make it visually nicer.
The only way that Slack is going to be able to @mention someone and have them receive that notification and have like it link to them as a user is by using the carrots with the UID. So this is only if you want to do that, right? It might not make sense for your team. If you just say contact Matt, it won't notify Matt necessarily unless Matt like sets up notifications in Slack anytime he sees his name to be mentioned. Like Slack has that setting. But yeah, the only way to get it to actually automatically @mention someone so that they get that notification is by using the carrots with the @you and the ID. If I didn't include that UID and I said, you know, how do I RSVP for the holiday party? It would still say, talk to Matt. It just wouldn't @mention him.
Sarah asked if she missed it, did Steph say that a knowledge agent can be put over something besides just a page or a Slack channel?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, Sarah, so I can show you that here. So we have the ability for a knowledge agent to live in a page, a Slack channel, and in the Guru Chrome extension over any web application. So, and of course, the Guru search bar here. But so for example, you could have your knowledge agents available for the team to search in the Guru search bar. But if you want a knowledge agent to greet someone in the Chrome extension automatically over a specific tool, right now it's just the Guru bot here. When you're building your knowledge agent, you can dictate that. So we might have our people team bot default on the benefits page, but also greet folks when they're in our expense tool or on our HRIS system, wherever they're logging vacation time or sick hours, things like that. So what this will do is it will have the people team bot automatically be selected to field those questions without the user needing to toggle to it. Show you what that looks like. See how the people team bot is there? The end user doesn't need to know which knowledge agent to toggle to, and this one will best answer my questions, and especially any questions that I have when I'm in our expense tool. So hopefully that was helpful. Great, thanks.
Good. Steph, if you can see the chat, Christina has a couple of things that she would love for you to go over again.
Sure. Like to learn about. Okay. At users and answers, knowledge agent ideas, and using assist to apply templates. Yeah, I can jump into that. David, just to answer your question while I'm still on the topic, will Guru pop up automatically or do users need to initiate by selecting the Chrome extension? That's a really great question. So you can have your IT team push the Chrome extension as a download for all users. I think that's a really good tip so that it's available for them. You can have the extension greet them by setting up something called a knowledge trigger. So I would recommend looking at knowledge triggers in our help center to see how to set that up if you've never done so, where the extension will have a little lightning bolt and sort of push a specific piece of content in front of a user based on what's on the page. We're going to be coming out with more enhancements to automatically push information to users in their workflow this year as part of our roadmap. So more to come on that. But today it would be a knowledge trigger. Great question. Okay, so Christina, we want to review at users and answers, knowledge agents, and using assist to apply templates. Oh, and the idea of having a separate session to go deeper into those. Totally. Like Jazz mentioned, you can book a call with the team. We have strategy sessions where we can walk through these with you one-on-one. So there's a question mark in the bottom right-hand corner of Guru where you can book a call. So we can definitely go over those with you and maybe even talk about like specific knowledge agents for your use case. I will go back though to these examples. Just to spark some ideas. You can think of knowledge agents as customized and curated search experiences for your team. Think of it as an AI assistant. There's really a lot that we can do. And I think our strategy sessions are a really good way to like sort of dive into like what are some of the pain points that you're experiencing on your team, just in terms of like being efficient and getting all of your work done. And then we can sort of talk about like what's the best way to build a knowledge agent to help you out. You're welcome. Corey had a question. I'd love to learn more about Guru card permissions and using the workspaces feature. Is there a workshop or a good resource to start to learn about workspaces? Jazz, do you know, do any of our current workshops talk about workspaces?
Not in depth. Maybe it's something we can have Matt do
Yeah, we can bring that idea to the
for the
team,
a la
Corey.
cartes. We can do that. I'll also drop into the chat for you, Corey, just the information that we do have about workspaces. But yeah, we'll log that. We're doing a bunch of kind of one-off workshops this year. And so I'll let the person know who's over that. Thanks, Steph.
Yeah, of course. I see we're not able to use knowledge agents without turning on answers. Is there a plan on the roadmap to separate these features? I would feel more comfortable with knowledge agents rather than the search AI. Jordan, this is feedback that we have heard, and I know I work with you personally, so yeah, I can follow up with you on this after. Good to see you. Thanks for coming. I love seeing familiar faces. Any other questions? And while we're looks like retrofitting your content to a new template was probably the most popular, and I can review that here again at the end. But before folks do hop, since we only have a few minutes left, we would love to know how you liked this session. This is a bit of like a more innovative, creative, out of the box workshop for us. Just
One
sparked by the
second.
start of a new year and the end of 2024. So yeah, would love to um, know how you liked it. And like Jasmine said, we're constantly thinking and designing new workshops. So your feedback is really, really helpful for us.
Poll coming soon. It didn't load for us.
No worries. While we're waiting for the poll, I will circle back to the top voted item, which was retrofitting templates. Feel free to use the chat if there's something about retrofitting templates that you wanted me to clarify. But to go through it, because I'm happy to. You have the ability to create templates for your authors to access, right? So if you're not familiar with this, you can create them here and create a library. So whenever anyone's making a new card, they'll have the options to apply any of those templates. In order for in order for us to properly prompt AI to apply a template to content, we want that template to appear in Markdown. So that's what we're doing here by coming into the template and using assist just to grab the Markdown for this template. So that's the first step, is turn this template into Markdown. We're just putting it in this format so that the AI can better work with it. Right? So once we have this Markdown from the template that we've created, we can take that Markdown. Try again. We can take the Markdown that the AI is giving us and then create a template in our assist library for our authors. Okay, so we have the template in Markdown. We need to set this up in our assist library by creating a new custom assist action, name it, choose where you want it nested in the assist menu in the card editor, who should access it. We're modifying existing content. The prompt is apply this template to the content. And I like to say, if part of the content does not fit into the template, place it at the end of the document. Something along those lines. Because maybe there's something that doesn't fit, right? So then you're going to paste the markdown here. This is what I've come up with. I have this enabled now for my team. And then my team is now able to come into old cards, right? So let's say, we wanted to apply to this really long form SOP that has a different template. We want to apply our new and improved template with ease to this old content. I can just use assist to do that. I hope that helped to go through it a second time and say it sort of in a different way. Did that help folks? And that's just one way that you can use assist. You can see that you can get really, really creative with it. The other example that I shared was the summarizer. But again, so many really cool things that you can do with AI. Another really cool hack is just using it to help with writer's block, right? So you don't need to have a prompt. You don't need to use one of the prompts in the library. You can come in here and say, help me brainstorm 3 ideas for our next workshop with customers. And just help you sort of overcome that writer's block. So wanted to call that out as well. You will have the recording, so you can feel free to watch it again. But yeah, Jackie, I think it would be really great for you to take a lot of your old process cards and update it with a new template that you've created by using Assist. Sweet. We're coming to our last few minutes here together. Thanks so much for everyone who's filled out the poll. We really appreciate it. If there's something that we could have done better, feel free to let us know in the chat. We'd love to hear it, or what your favorite part was. Otherwise, thanks for all of your engagement, all of your questions. We're doing this session again later today at 4 p.m. Eastern, and it'll be available to watch the recording for anyone on your team who you think could find value from this. And with that, we'll catch y'all next time.
Thanks so much for your time, everyone.
Thanks for
The
coming.
recording is available on the same page that you used to log in today. So definitely check that out. It also will be sent out in an email.
Sweet.
That's it.